Hello everyone, I hope that you are all doing well. Welcome back to these drawing challenge videos where I basically just share my thoughts on the drawings that I made for this challenge that I made that I thought would be a good idea. I mean, in the end it was still a good idea. We'll have to see for week 9. This is week 8 after all, and it's the last full week of illustrations. I have quite a bit in here, and I can't wait to share it all with you guys. So let's dive right in, starting with day 43. I had a simple idea for Sarek's piece that was pretty simple to make for day 43, but first I conducted some research for the background and the furniture, because I wanted to be a little bit more intentional about the environment. What was the style of the furniture? I mixed some casino and rococo elements to create the chair and the table. And finally, for the background, since I planned on using a blur filter, I altered my coloring methods in the background so that it would interact with the filter better. There's not much else to say. Later on, someone pointed out that the proportions were a bit janky, so yeah, I really have to look at that. That's been a consistent problem, huh? But that's fine. Here is day 43, Serac. Despite the prompt I had for day 44, Sumisi, this was a rather difficult piece to put together. I was aiming for a more blue sky and the summery field look, and I wanted to pay attention to the simplicity of the perspective. But instead I went for something different. Again, this piece was a way of me exploring Sumisi's story, and the parts of her, and the essence, and what makes Sumisi Sumisi. So everything was a little bit more abstracted in the background with soft strokes and a retro and lens blur filter. I'll admit that using the filters and effects did make things a lot easier, and it was a lot easier to use it as compared to Satan's situation. It's probably because of the colors, because again, Satan's piece didn't have a lot of colors I could filter around with, and I'm glad I could utilize it, at least here. And it made me realize that, hey, maybe I could start using some of these filters if I had everything set up properly. Nevertheless, I did enjoy making this piece, and Sumisi in general was pretty fun to draw. So here is day 44, Sumisi. Mr. Sun is our subject for day 45, and his is actually one of the shortest drawings in the entire series. Doodles and expressions were the elements that were more emphasized here, but the background was the one that surprisingly took most of the time. I was aiming for a simple background with some patterns and accents, almost like a kid's coloring book, but finding out what colors I wanted was tricky. I had a lot of fun showing off Mr. Sun's character, and I even got to tinker a bit with his said character later on. And that's pretty much it. Mr. Sun is a Mr. Sun, and Mr. Sun's Mr. Sun. There's not much else to say to that, and I'm pretty happy with the piece. So here is day 45, Mr. Sun. Day 46 was quite similar to day 45. It was another smaller piece that helped me explore my storytelling. This time it was in the form of a silent comic where I would challenge myself to show a story without having the OCs or the characters tell what is happening, meaning that there's no dialogue. I actually struggled with the backgrounds though, as I wanted to work on some patterns without making the colors look too overwhelming. And originally I wasn't gonna have any colors because it's supposed to have that more doodle, silent comic look, but I couldn't help myself. I love adding my colors. It was a quick, refreshing piece, and I enjoyed it. So here is day 46, sushi. Day 47 is dedicated to another major OC, Traley. At this point, some of the casts in Volume 1 have gotten all their characters a piece for themselves. They've all gotten their days finished. Their drawing for the challenge is done. But for Major, I still surprisingly have quite a few left. By few, I mean two, and Traley is one of those two people. Her drawing deviated heavily from the original idea I had in mind, specifically the composition. You may have noticed in the beginning of the time lapse, I started a little bit entirely differently before switching rather quickly, and the composition was actually more similar to Ridu's piece. She's just farther from the viewer. And I also had some difficulties capturing the water in the background and not making the piece look too busy because there's a lot of stuff happening. The add layer touch-ups definitely helped though in differentiating everything. And again, drawing the water bubbles and the droplets were really fun. In the recent days of the challenge, I have enjoyed drawing water and bubbles. I need to start doing that way more often because I love doing it. And I didn't realize how much I love doing it until some drawings have showed up. The perspective and the pose for Traley looks a little bit wonky, but I think at the point when I realized it, there wasn't much I could do. But nevertheless, I am still pretty satisfied with it. So here is day 47, Traley. Day 48 is the last drawing that we have to do for week 8. And Unicue, you were so unkind to me. I'd say hers is the most difficult piece in the entire series. Obviously, I had some that were a lot trickier, but Unicue's was tricky in a way that was kind of irritating, if I'm being honest. I wanted her to look up as she was sitting on a chair, but the background and the perspective and even the mood that I wanted to express was another entire mystery that I had to really sift through. Honestly, the lack of direction made this so complicated, and it's strange because usually for my pieces I always have some sort of direction, a vision, if you will, of what I want the piece to turn out, or how I want it to turn out. But Unicues kept switching around, and I couldn't decide what to do. In the end, I think it turned out alright. I'm still unsure about the furniture, but it provided some good exercise, and some needed exercise, in terms of my furniture pieces. Well, that's about it for day 48. It's a strange way to end week 8, but what can we do? Not all of them are winners. Sorry, Unicue. So, day 48 is for Unicue, and I will actually show her slide at the end of the video. In conclusion, I would say that week 8 went pretty alright. Well, it went better than I had hoped because I got sick in the middle of the week, and actually I wasn't sure if I was gonna be able to make it to this week's little recording. The plan was to postpone this and still draw, but post the video on the last day with week 9. But I'm glad that it worked out in the end. The videos was especially what I was worried about, because I had to talk and my voice was basically down and it was horrible, but we're good. We're good now. This is the last full week of the drawing challenge. Next week there will only be 4, Erstin, Bunny, Valencia, and Veo, but I will still be posting the video on Sunday, unless I somehow manage to make it on Friday. This has been such a big challenge to do. This has just been pretty big in general. Dare I say major, but let's not go there. I have a lot more thoughts that I will share when the last week rolls around, but in the meantime, we are on week 8, or we're done with week 8, and that in itself is pretty impressive. I still can't believe I managed to pull this off, especially with all the changes that happened in my personal life. I hope that you guys enjoyed the video. Next week is gonna be the last week of the challenge, and I cannot wait to see you all there. I hope that you have a great day, and wishing you all the best. Bye.